happy Wednesday. We have a great show in store for you today, so make sure you're in a comfy chair, grab a snack, maybe some coffee, and subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. Here is the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
What's up, everybody? It's Shaq. You can follow me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
And it's your girl, Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
All right, so yesterday it was Taco Tuesday. Did anybody celebrate? Anyone enjoy tacos yesterday? Yeah?
Yeah, I had
Jackie?
shrimp tacos. Shrimp, Cajun shrimp tacos. Delicious.
Ooh, yeah. That sounds fire.
Wow. Did you make it yourself?
I was a sous chef. I helped make them, but no, I didn't do the majority of the cooking. I chopped
I
up
helped
stuff.
you make them. Did you just taste it after the chef did stuff and just kind of try stuff? And did you cut up some tomatoes?
I cut up the onions, which I was proud of myself because I didn't cry this time. So I cut up the onions and I prepared all the seasening, and then I poured the margaritas. Hello, that's helpful.
Oh, that's
helping.
Right there.
You helping, yeah, right.
Without the person that does the margaritas, there's no Taco Tuesday.
See?
I've been on a real margarita kick, so I'm jealous of you, Jackie. Britt, did you get to have any tacos yesterday?
No, so last week I made like a giant feast for Taco Tuesday, and I always make like the bean or the rice from scratch and all that kind of stuff, and actually made guacamole and actually made salsa and everything. So I was eating that for like 3 days straight after the fact because I made all of that for myself and one other friend. So I had a lot of leftovers. So I'm kind of tacoed out right now. I had
I can imagine.
Rice and broccoli and peas and stuff like that. So I didn't have anything exciting, unfortunately.
Well, I didn't either. I had pasta, so we're in the same boat. But I think I might make tacos tonight. It'll be a Taco Wednesday for me. All right, you guys, I'm going to jump into our first need to know news story. So obviously right now, in the wake of coronavirus, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and I think that leads people to come up with conclusions on their own. I'm sorry about this echo, you guys. I can hear it myself. I know it's kind of distracting. It might have gone away now, though. Okay, so Denver Nuggets forward Michael Porter Jr. shared a crazy conspiracy theory about the coronavirus during a Snapchat Q&A last night. So he said, quote, "Personally, I think that the coronavirus is being used obviously for a bigger agenda. It's being used for population control and just in terms of being able to control the masses of people. Because of this virus, the whole world is being controlled. You're required to wear masks, and who knows what'll happen when this vaccine comes out. You might have to have the vaccine in order to travel. That would be crazy." So I admit wearing a mask can be kind of annoying, but I feel like it's a minor inconvenience when the benefits, like not getting people sick, are so worthwhile. So for me, I feel like it's better to be safe than sorry. And since scientists have discovered that wearing masks does slow the spread of the virus, I feel like it's just something that is not, there are bigger things to complain about in the world. He also admitted that he's never been vaccinated in his life. He said, quote, "I've never had any shots or anything like that. It could get crazy, but it's definitely behind everything that's going on right now. All you could do is sit back and watch what's going on. Don't get too emotionally involved. But yeah, it is a serious thing. It is a real thing, but it's being overblown." So basically, he thinks that coronavirus is made up, like a little bit real, but mostly made up in order to control the masses. Anyway, I'm going to go to questions now. So, Britt, do you think that Michael Porter Jr. is being irresponsible by sharing controversial theory on such a large platform?
I don't think he's once said that he thought that the coronavirus was made up at all. I watched the whole entire video. I don't feel like he said that. I felt like he was asked like if it was in this country being like overblown or whatever. And compared to how it's turned out in other countries, I can see why he would feel like we are doing something to then force people to get vaccinated and stuff like that, because other countries don't have the problem we do. We continue to have our numbers so high. We watched videos recently of doctors coming out in Houston saying that they have not had anybody die from COVID-19, and they're explaining their reasoning and, you know, the medication or vitamins and stuff that they're giving people to help. So I don't think that there's well, the thing with Michael Porter Jr., which we remember from before, is when he had the stuff about like, oh, he feels like he should pray for racist people too. He doesn't say stuff correctly. He doesn't necessarily get his point across that people understand it very well. But if you actually really listen to what he said, he doesn't think it's a conspiracy. He said it, he believes it's real. He just thinks that in this country, we have gotten to the point where it has been overblown, and it's a lot of the government's fault. Everybody's kind of agreed to that anyway, because you can see all the other countries that literally had more cases than we did, and now we're like 3, 4, 5 times the amount of that. Why is that? Obviously, we're a country that is based on pharmaceutical sales, and everybody has been talking about the chance of maybe making everybody get vaccinated. So I understand his concerns because they are real. I don't think anything that he said isn't like a concern that you should have. And I don't think he was even complaining about the mask situation. He was just saying, we are wearing masks now and we are doing this. He didn't say he didn't want to wear a mask or he wasn't going to wear a mask. So I think people are kind of blowing out what he said out of proportion because they want it to be negative and they want him to be like this person that's saying all this crazy stuff. But I don't believe that personally.
Okay. Chris, do you think that it's inconsiderate for him to share this kind of opinion when he's currently in a bubble that's meant to keep players safe from the coronavirus, and people within the bubble like Karl Anthony Towns or, you know, in the NBA in general and others have lost loved ones to it?
Oh man, it's crazy hearing what everything Britt said because, crazy enough, I think that he was more misconstrued than anything else. I think the way it came across is what it was being a bit blown out of proportion. So I don't think he is entirely being insensitive. I think it's more so it's just being perceived a way that I don't know him like that, but just like Britt said, watching it, like when you see the clips, it's one thing. It sounds crazy. He sounds like he's talking crazy. It sounds like he's, talking against it and, having a whole, conspiracy about it. But when you listen to the whole thing, although I don't entirely agree with everything, I do feel like, as we've learned, he's just not one to really speak his mind the best way, especially when he's doing it live on, I guess this was Snapchat. So to answer that question, I don't know if I can completely call him irresponsible for his comments and for his opinion. I just feel like more so the way he spoke on it just came out the wrong way. And then now the, all the outlets and everywhere it's being shared is, taking it the way they want to take it. So I don't really know if I can necessarily say that it was irresponsible the way that him saying what he said. In my opinion.
Okay. And then Jackie, I want to go to you for the final question. Do you think athletes, and it's kind of in the same vein, do you think that athletes should be careful about discussing controversial opinions about the virus when we still don't know so much about it? Oh, you're muted.
Jackie, you're muted.
Oh, God. Can you hear me now?
There you are. Okay.
Yes. No, I don't think so at all. I don't think athletes should stay silent about anything that they feel is important, including the coronavirus. I think the coronavirus affects us all. And, I'm with Britt. I watched the whole thing. I didn't feel that he said anything. I guess I'm probably in the middle of Chris and Britt because I thought he was spot on. You know what I mean? I thought that if you really kind of look at some of the things that we know about the coronavirus, we know that if you have something that was killing you anyway, and then you have the virus, then they're going to put on your death certificate that you died from coronavirus, but you didn't die from coronavirus. So there's definitely an agenda at play with this virus. There's definitely a lot that we don't know. Some of that is by design. There's definitely numbers that have been skewed. And I thought he was spot on. And I think that anytime you have an opinion, I don't ever want to live in a world where we tell athletes, oh, you're an athlete, so you got to censor your opinion. I don't want to tell anybody that. So no, I absolutely don't think. I think if you have an opinion, say it. We're going to talk about it. If your opinion is wrong, then you have an opportunity to change it. But if you just keep your opinion to yourself and then just talking to a whole bunch of people who agree with you, even if your opinion is completely wrong, you don't have an opportunity to grow from that. So absolutely not. I think if you have something to say, you say it, and we'll talk about it after that.
Yeah, totally. I think the one thing that I did have an issue with about this was when he was saying that forcing people to wear masks, or encouraging people to wear masks, I should say, was an attempt to control the populations, when in reality it's just kind of like the nice thing to do. I think that that's where it gets problematic, because you validate all of the anti-maskers, all of the people who are in a Trader Joe's line screaming about, how they don't want to wear a mask or whatever. So I think that part of it can be, obviously this has been, interpreted and analyzed all over the internet. And I think those kinds of comments can end up having negative effects. But let's move on to the next need to know news story. Scottie Pippen, he actually believes that Giannis does not have what it takes to be a leader, especially one who can win a championship. So when asked about Giannis's offensive versatility, he said, quote, "I don't think he's really there yet. You're talking about winning a title. You're talking about playing in the NBA Finals. You're talking about making big shots, being able to take those shots with great confidence. I just don't see him being ready right now for that." He added, "I know that he's made some great strides. He's still one of the top players in the game, but in terms of his outside play, he is not really the one that carries the team to a title." He also thinks that in these upcoming games, he's going to be exposed for his weaknesses. He said they really exposed Giannis to his weakness last year, and that's what teams do when they get you in a series. They're going to expose you, and they're going to do that again to him this year. Chris, do you think Scottie has a point, and do you think that Giannis doesn't have what it takes to take the team to the finals or a finals win?
No, to me, this had Shaq vibes. You know how every time there's a player that is coming up and they're looking dominant, they're looking Shaq-like and whatnot, but then Shaq had to come down and take him off the high horse, like Dwight Howard back in when Dwight Howard was taking over the league at the big man position. This has those kind of vibes to me. It's one of those things with Scottie Pippen, because everybody is praising Giannis, and it's deserved. But Scottie Pippen's somebody who's been there, won the championships, been alongside one of the greatest to play. He's one of those guys that's just going to continue to challenge Giannis Antetokounmpo to possibly make him be in some people's eyes, or possibly in everyone's eyes, the greatest player of all time when he's done, it's said and done. So I think that's just the way that Scottie Pippen is looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo, where he's just going to continue to challenge and continue to find the negatives, even though that window for the negative, because some of the things he said, I do agree with. A lot of it, I feel like he's just overblowing and just, over exaggerating on. But I feel like that's just the way that Scottie Pippen is handling the situation with Giannis, and they just continue to challenge him and continue to, tell him like, yeah, you good, but you ain't there yet, kind of thing. Give him some humble pie. That's the only way I could perceive his comments that he had for Giannis Antetokounmpo, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe you're right on that. Jackie, I want to go to you for my next question. Do you feel Giannis really is an inefficient leader?
Check the receipts, because Chris and I had the same conversation last year, and I said that I didn't think he had, established that outside shot yet. And I think what Pippen is really saying, and again, this is me interpreting him. I don't know him personally, so this is read between the line Wednesday, I think. But I think what he's saying is when you think about Jordan, and when you think about how he led, and he's going to light a fire under you, he's not caring about your feelings. If you're not doing the job, he's going to do it for you. He's kind of like a prince in that aspect. Well, he'll fire musicians because he can play whatever. He can do whatever he needs you to do. And if you're not going to do it, he's going to step up and do it. Giannis is nice, and nice guys can lead, but sometimes they're just too nice when you have a team full of egos. So I think that's what Scottie's saying more than anything, that here's this really nice guy who has made strides. Last year I told Chris that I didn't think he had an outside shot, so he shouldn't even be considered for MVP. But he has made strides on that, and he's definitely improved in that. And I think that takes a level of leadership. Sometimes you can just lead by example. But I think what Scottie is used to and what Scottie has seen is somebody who's more like a drill sergeant and a platoon leader versus, the nice guy that just kind of gets in there and does his thing. So to Scottie, no, he's probably not a leader. And that's cool. I'm okay with that. Everybody has their opinions based on their perceptions.
I think I'm with you. I think that Giannis does seem like such a nice guy. He's always, posting cute things on the internet. He doesn't ever seem like super aggressive or intense. So I can totally see where you're coming from. Britt, do you agree that Giannis lacks the offensive versatility needed to carry the Bucks to the finals win?
I don't think they're going to win this year, but I think there's different forms of leaders. And I think to Chris's point, what he said about how Scotty's trying to talk to Giannis in that kind of way, there's that saying that says you never go horse for a player that has no potential. Once I start ignoring you, then you worry. So the fact that he's being talked about and the fact that big people like Scottie Pippen are even challenging him to that, they believe in him and they know he can get to that point. And let's look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a lot older when he won his first championship. I think leaders kind of develop into themselves. Right now, maybe Giannis is in a spot where he's really developing his personal game and whatever the case is. But most guys that end up running teams and stuff, and even like LeBron going to the Heat and then doing it there, people kind of developed a little bit in the league before they got into that leadership role where they felt like they could. Now I've led by example, and now I want to bring more leaders to this group, and I want to teach people to be other leaders and stuff like that. So I think he's learning how to just lead himself with his example that he's setting. And I think just like every other superstar we've seen that goes on to be great, Kobe, everybody that you've seen go on to be great, they had a time frame where they were not the leader in that sense that they becoming, like LeBron became and Michael Jordan became and whatever the case, and Kobe became, So I think we're not at a point to where we can even say Giannis is not a leader because he's just so young in his career. I think he needs time to grow a little bit, and he needs the same amount of time that all these other leaders that ended up becoming NBA greats got.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see Giannis develop over the years. We'll see what happens in the upcoming games, the playoffs. So we'll all figure it out. But Chris, for now, I'm going to hand it over to you for the post up.
Oh shoot! It is time for post up with your boy Chris, quarantine edition. All right, we jumping right into it. I'm with it. And starting off, it's very fitting that we started off the show asking about everyone's Taco Tuesday, because I'm opening post up today with a bit of Taco Tuesday updates inside of the bubble, because LeBron James has brought back the call that Britt and Jackie has been keeping going since the whole bubble, and since he's been off. So even though he's on social media, but he hasn't been as active. Every Tuesday we saw the videos, but we haven't been seeing him late. So it's been up to Britt and Jackie to make sure that every Tuesday it stays alive. But LeBron James said no more. I'm back, guys, and he made sure everybody in practice heard him loud and clear when he let him know what day it was. If we can get that video, please.
Today, Taco Tuesday!
Yes.
He did
My favorite way. I love it.
And it is out, yeah. Anthony Davis was my favorite. I'm like, the hell's going on? Oh, it's LeBron. There goes LeBron again. But yes, it is back. Okay, so first of all, we gotta give a round of applause to Britt and Jackie, because like I said, they've been holding it down. I've been stubborn with it because I just wanted to hear. I was missing LeBron saying, what I'm saying. So I've been stubborn. Now it's back, but I got to give the round of applause to Britt and Jackie for keeping it alive while LeBron James brings it back, and it's all good. So I feel like all is right with the Taco Tuesday call being brought by LeBron James. But while he's out here waiting and looking for his tacos in the bubble, we got another player looking for some sweets in the bubble. Darius Bazley of the Oklahoma City Thunder he's trying to find a plug, man. Now everybody's, luckily vegans are being accommodated with their diet choices and food choices, vegetarians, so on and so forth. But when you're a young player in the league, you're still trying to figure out how to have the appropriate diet when you're playing a professional sport. But Darius Baisley's not quite there yet because he is trying to find candy in the bubble, and he's being very, very open about it. He posted this picture on his story yesterday of his crusty knee with the caption saying, "Anyone in the bubble selling candy," sounding like Tyrone Bigum's like, anybody got some candy? For any of my people who know the Dave Chappelle skit, like, oh, you got candy? Got some of that candy out there? Well, it's funny because I had seen this on the NBA Bubble Live's Twitter account, and for whatever reason, they called out, oh my goodness, Josh Jackson. And I'm just like, why are you calling out Josh Jackson? I don't understand. Well, apparently, I missed Josh Jackson's tour of his room because he looks like he got the whole 7-Eleven in his damn room. Because look at this. You cannot tell me that you cannot... Everything, all the cereals, all the Doritos, got a whole 2 packs of Twizzlers in the back, got some candy under the Twizzlers. Look at it. He has everything. So you cannot tell me that you can't hit up Darius Baisley and, charge him some money for, a few of your Twizzlers that you got in that pack. And then obviously, whoever your plug is, you're going to be refilled right away the next day. So, yes. Hook up the man.
He has apples and Jif.
It's well-rounded. They got the Jiffy right next to it. Yes. You can see he already went into those Lays, got the coconut water. Yeah, man. So help a brother out, man. Little Darius Baisley trying to get some candy. Hook him up. Help him out.
I don't know if you guys watch the prison shows. I'm obsessed with all the prison shows, 60 Days In, and they have the guy that has the store. Yeah. Whoever has the store runs the pod. So let me find out Josh Jackson runs that shit. He's like, hey, you got to pass Aldo 3 times if you want this Snickers.
Right. Right.
Man, Snickers is worth 4 passes. Snickers is my whole life. I love me some Snickers.
Right.
That's the only candy I eat. That's the only candy. Let me see some Snickers. I'm like, what you need for that Snickers? No, don't play.
Yo, I hope we find out that is what's going on. Josh Jackson got a whole side business going on. We got Patrick Beverly out there selling the white tees, and we got Josh Jackson out here with the candy snack hookup. I like it. I'm all for that. Now, it's funny because Jackie, not too long ago, we were just talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, brought up the conversation that we had as far as who was MVP. Now, yes, I have admit at that time I was in favor of Giannis, and Jackie was killing me with stats as to why it was James Harden, to the point where I eventually was like, you know what? Yeah, give me James Harden. Now, this was last year. I've admit this a long time ago. I flip-flopped. Okay, big whoop. Doesn't matter. He still lost. Anyways, so now in the Rocket scrimmage yesterday, and it's crazy because they were playing as the Celtics, and this was the Celtics broadcast. They went on and they showed all of James Harden's rankings from this season alone. And let me tell you something, quite a lot of ones on this ranking list. If I can get that picture up, James Harden is having a crazy season right now. We don't even have him in the conversation for MVP right now. If we can get that picture up, Leo. Look at all these ones. Look at all these ones. This is the ranks for this season. Points per game first. Total points first. Field goals made. Field goal attempts. 3 points made. 3-point attempts. Free throws made. Free throw attempts. I feel like it's a wrap. Points off turnovers. It's insane. All this stuff. Now, obviously, I had some haters I saw on Twitter like, that's nice. But can we flip over that card and see all the defensive stats and see him ranking at the bottom of the list for those? I was like, yo, y'all some haters. Leave it alone. That's all we're talking about right now. But that's impressive. That is impressive. We already know, and we've talked about, James Harden, who feels like he is, his game, especially this past season, is going under the radar. Nobody's talking about it, and people have more bad to say than good to say about his game. And, then this comes up, and it's just like, dang, maybe he might have a point that, we might not be looking at you the right way. But anyways, all that being said, Jackie, I got to come back to you because this is where the conversation initially was last year. I want to say around this time, maybe a little bit earlier last year. Are you back? I don't think you went anywhere, but are you back? And I know you think LeBron James is probably up there too. We've heard you argue about that too. But do you think that James Harden is number 2 in your mind in the MVP race right now?
Yes, nothing has changed from last year. I told everybody, go check the receipts. Go look back at everything I said about James Harden winning last year. All of it holds true this year. You said, oh, he's having a fantastic season. No, he's not. He's having a fantastic career. The man just gets better and better. And
I'll give you that.
Literally holding it down. This just proves to me when Giannis won it last year, I was like, okay, I'm going to tap out. I'm going to just be on team James Harden, as much as I hate to say that, because it's clearly a popularity contest. And Giannis is a nicer guy. He's fun to like. He's fun to watch. He smiles. He's cool on Instagram and Twitter. He's just fun. I like him. But if we talking about where's the number one, show the number one list with Giannis. How much shorter is it? Don't make no damn sense. It gets on my nerves. I get irritated.
But see, the thing is, he probably got the other side though. He might have the defensive stuff. You know, who knows? But again, that's just for the haters.
Well, tomorrow we're gonna flip the car. We're gonna flip
the car. We're gonna get Giannis. We're gonna get like a little bootleg. We're gonna get like a little Google Paint kind of thing. It's us writing them in. You know, it's like 1, 2, 3. Anyways. But yeah, I think it's fair. It is weird though, because we were just talking about them. You know, it's one or the other for MVP last year, but this year, you know, in some circles, obviously on paper, you see his name is up there, but you don't hear anybody talking about it. We've heard the conversation that we've talked about many times on this show. You know, LeBron James, does he stand a chance? Because it's Giannis's trophy to win and stuff like that. And that might not be the opinion of us four on this panel, but that's just what's being talked about. I know, which is crazy. I know, but the way.
Let's just be clear. It's James Harden's trophy. Who they give it to is up for debate.
Right. Well, all I'm saying is just with the way the NBA is looking, with everything you just said, I expect Zion Williamson to be MVP next season. On that note, I'm moving on to the next post up.
Stop it right now. I'm gonna come for you tomorrow. You in trouble now.
We're going back to LeBron James. Now, it's so funny because I saw this picture and I saw the interview, and I thought of it, but I didn't think too much of it. And then next thing I know, I'm going back on social media last night, and it's blowing up. People, anyways, I'm going too fast. LeBron James was doing a Zoom interview yesterday, and he was sitting on a chair, but at certain angles, this chair looking like LeBron James had Jared Dudley and J.R. Smith walking around with this big old throne, and every time LeBron James had an interview, they'll plop that chair down and have LeBron sit down like, you may speak to the king now. Because in this angle of this interview, this simple hotel chair that was in a hallway looks a lot like a throne, and it had social media losing their mind, talking about, the NBA giving LeBron James a throne. I don't know why it sounded like Lil Wayne, but like they giving him a throne, blah, 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 wham. And it's funny. And then you see, I don't have the other angle, but there's a different angle where it clearly looks like just a fancy chair that is like belongs to a fancy hotel. It matched like the carpeting and stuff like that. So it made sense. But people were going in talking about LeBron James needing to throw this, LeBron James needing to throw that. Oh, he's so soft. Oh my gosh, the NBA caters to LeBron, blah, blah, blah. So Devin, I want to come to you real quick as the other LeBron James stands on here, because Jackie just came in talking about James Harden, so I'm putting her on timeout for right now. I'm going to go to you, Devin. So when you saw this, okay, did you initially think it was a throne as well? Be completely honest.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
No, I didn't think it was a throne. To me, it doesn't even look like a throne. A throne is going to be more extravagant, more detailed. But you know what? If LeBron did want to sit in a throne, he should sit in a throne. I don't care. I'm not going to be mad about it. The guy's the king, so I'm for it.
I need to see the screen that Devin's looking at. I don't know, Jackie back there typing, and then Devin reading what Jackie they're typing, like, say this right now. Chris, okay, let me. But Brent, I got to come to you.
Go.
So no, bro, I was gonna come to you because I need somebody to. Yeah, good. Because I need somebody to bring it up. I want to hear your opinion. So you say what you're gonna say first, and I got a question for you. Go ahead. What were you just about to say?
I just thought he was at my big mom's house, and that was her chair. However, he ripped the plastic off of it, so he's gonna get in some trouble because you don't.
You're gonna get in trouble.
Furniture. And that's
shirt off, sweating.
It's definitely not a throne chair. It's my big mom's chair with the plastic taken off. That's what that was.
So what I'm coming to you, and I want to see how you feel about this. Just the fact. Now, understand, he said that he's in that chair because it's low and it's easy for him to ice his legs and blah, blah, blah. But we've seen everybody else who have done these Zoom interviews for online or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And they doing it on a stool, they doing it on a chair, and they iced up the same way. So my question to you, Britt Johnson, do you think that LeBron James knew what he was doing when he picked this chair, or do you think it was just completely coincidental?
He knew what he was doing, you know?
Oh,
and
good
he just
grief.
probably wanted the chairs in the hotel, and he's like, I want that one. You know, it's not like he shipped in a chair. It's definitely was just in the hotel.
Right.
He chose what he wanted. They didn't decide to bring that heavy chair over to him if he didn't request that specific chair. They would have given him a different, like just the foldy chairs or whatever the case is.
Something
like
you would
have like cushion on them. Like we've seen them at the NBA games. They all have cushion on them. It's not like it's like the hard one. Like they have cushion. So stop it. He asked for that chair right over there.
Yeah. Look, I'm sorry, Devin and Jackie, but I'm with Brett on this.
I am tapping in. I am coming in from timeout. I'm tapping in right now. Neil, put the camera on me.
So next one. I know I'm with Britt on this one. I feel like because he's talking about that he needs to ice himself and blah 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 blah. But like I said, and Britt just said it, a folding chair is probably just as high as that. He can ice the exact same way. It's what everybody else has been doing. LeBron James talking about you want to be like everyone else, but then he's like, yeah, let me get that chair right there.
First of all, he's not like everyone else. He is a king. He's not like everyone else. That's first and foremost. Let's all recognize that he is a king. Second of all, y'all act like you ain't seen one episode of Game of Thrones. King chairs embrace your whole body. Your shoulders do not touch the sides of the chair.
That was in the hotel building.
But
like,
see, he's
right.
LeBron.
It wasn't even.
When I looked for a chair, he just got whatever chair was there, and that was the king.
I'm gonna tell you what really happened. What really happened is Kyle Kuzma. What really happened was
all the chairs available.
Kyle Kuzma was like, "Look, I don't want to be on the trading block next season. Let me go find a chair that makes LeBron look like the king." That's what happened. Kyle Kuzma went and got him that chair.
See, I went with Dudley and J.R. Smith, but it was okay.
I need to add, we all agreed that the chair doesn't even look like a throne. So there's no reason LeBron would have gone out to get that specific chair to look a specific way when we all agreed it looked like
the kingiest of chairs available.
Right, that's the thing. Throne or not, he's the only one posted up in this big old comfy sofa chair couch looking thing where everyone else.
Chair.
Right. Put Grandma Johnson's chair back. What you doing? Put the surround.
We all know that Britt's big mama's got a nice figure because if she was truly big, she wouldn't be sitting in that chair. Come on now.
Oh my God. All right, LeBron.
Actually, never sits all the way back in it.
See?
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad this turned into what it turned into. Well, whatever. Conspiracy continues. I'm with you, Brett. I think that he knew what he did when he picked that chair of the bunch was 2v2 once again. And we'll talk about that another time, maybe. But sticking to the bubble thing is actually sticking to Kyle Kuzma. There's been reports that the NBPA executive director, Michelle Roberts, is talking about a possibility of bringing back the bubble for the next NBA season because things have been going well. I don't know if you guys saw today, but of everybody tested that's within the bubble right now, 0 tests came back. Obviously, it's still too soon to tell since actual scrimmages and stuff played went through, but regardless, to have 0 positive tests is still a plus, and meaning that the bubble is it's working as of right now. And now with the possibility of next season possibly being in a bubble, this has a conversation of where it might be. Now, Spencer Dinwiddie threw out a tweet saying that he thinks it's going to be in Vegas. It's going to be at MGM, blah, blah, blah. That's where I thought this bubble would be initially. But Kyle Kuzma has an opinion, and his opinion is seems very comfortable. As you guys see on the screen, he says the NBA has done an amazing job with safety and protocols. Just make sure the bubble is in Hawaii. Simple with the shrug emoji. Now, I'm with it. I think it'd be cool to. I just feel like, again, because there's obviously there's 8 more teams, so there's still a lot more to figure out. But I think it could be done. But it's also such a longer period of time. How is it going to work family wise? Because it's one thing to be out 2-3 months without family, but to be out an entire season without family. I don't know how they're going to work that out. I'm sure they're still trying to figure that part out. But I'm going to come to you, Jackie, with this idea that there's possibly going to be a bubble next season. Do you think that that's something that could work out for an entire season? Because that's the season and playoffs. Do you think that this is something that could work out? And do you think that that's something they should do? Or should they try going forward with just the no fans and stands and whatnot?
I think I think you just have to play it by ear. You know what I mean? I think that if
Right.
whatever happens with this virus, if it ends up going away, if people stop dying from it, then there's no need for the bubble. I don't think if they did do a bubble, it can't just be one bubble. It has to be like multiple bubbles in like 5 or 6 different cities, maybe even more than that, because that just doesn't, you can't get all them people in that just wouldn't make sense. And I personally hate the idea because I miss going to the games, you know what I mean? So I, as a fan, don't want to see it. But at the same time, if I can sit at home and watch it, and if this is what they have to do to make sure that I can sit at home and watch it, I'm fine with that. But like I said, it would be multiple bubbles. You can't do one bubble.
Yes.
But it's great to hear that, so far, the last testing that they had, no one had it. And I think that if we can continue on that, that's great. You don't want a situation like what Major League Baseball is having. So anything you can do to avoid that is great. You know what I mean? So I think that if they can make it work, make it work. But I kind of want to go back to the game.
Yeah, I think we're all there with that. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say, I don't know if they can come back with just one bubble. I don't know if, Kuz is saying Hawaii, Spencer Dinwiddie was saying Vegas. But I think if they do something like that, it's going to have to be multiple bubbles. And then how does that work, with financially, because we already heard how expensive this one bubble is, and they do multiple bubbles. How expensive is that going to be? Does it make more sense to just cut their losses and just let them play in empty stadiums or whatnot? But how much more safe is that? There's so many things around that, and I'm sure that this, like I said, this is just an initial idea. But we'll still see what does come of that, and we'll see if they decide to go forward with that. But for the right now, living in the right now, it's good to see that at least this bubble right now is working, and hopefully we'll be able to see the entirety of the playoffs in the bubble we have right now. So that's cool. Bradley Beal is the next one. Bradley Beal, he got played. And when I heard who played him, I wasn't too surprised. For those who may or may not know, Zach Lowe is somebody who's with ESPN. He's a writer on ESPN. Sometimes he appears on the NBA show The Jump. He has a podcast with Adrian Wojnarowski, and he has his own podcast as well. Zach Lowe had Bradley Beal on his podcast not too long ago, where they talked about the rankings in the NBA and what's going on right now with the bubble and life and blah blah blah. And they also ended the conversation talking about all NBA, where Zach Lowe told Bradley Beal that because he has a vote on the All NBA list for the actual for the league, he told Bradley Beal that it's not determined which one yet, but for sure he's gonna have Bradley Beal on one of his 3 All NBA teams. Yes, that's nice to say because obviously he's there with him and you want to say what you want to say to the person because you want to be fake like that. That's cool, I guess. Well, turns out not too long after that conversation, he then tweeted out his list of his all NBA teams. And surprisingly, Bradley Beal was not seen on any of those teams. Not first team, not second team, and not third team. And this was not that long after the conversation he did have with Bradley Beal. And this made Bradley Beal feel some type of way. He went on Twitter yesterday with just a subliminal tweet, but everyone's assuming that it had to do with this, where he went out and he tweeted, "Man lied right to my face," shaking my head. Now, although I do believe this is wrong, I do believe that this is a bit jacked up for you to say one thing to his face and then decide not to put him on the list. And this is not me defending Zach Lowe, but in that same breath, that doesn't mean that you have to do it just because you said it. It just does not look good. It's not a good look because you said it knowing damn well that you weren't going to do it. So I'm not saying you're right, but I'm also not saying that Bradley Beal, you should have really took his word too serious because that's just the business. But that's my opinion on that. I want to hear what you have to say, Britt. Do you think that Zach Lowe was wrong to tell him that he was going to put him on one of his 3 lists in his vote? Or do you agree that, it's very common for someone to say that to their face, but then to do something completely opposite behind the scenes, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles? How do you feel about this whole situation?
I mean, welcome to being gaslit. You got gaslit, Bradley Beal. Like it happens to the best of us. So like we have all been in situations where we thought it was something, or people said they were going to do this and they do something totally different. So unfortunately, that's the business. He tried to smooze you while you were around, and then he, is going to do he's going to do at the end. We've seen it again with even situations like Charles Barkley and Draymond Green being in the same room as each other. Like, they don't feel that way, and they keep talking about each other behind each other's back, and then when they see each other, it's all love and like, oh, I actually really like him. That's just the name of the game. Like, so many commentators, so many people do that in front of people's faces, and just so they can keep some type of relationship with them, and then they're gonna pick what they're gonna pick. So I'm sorry you thought you were gonna be on a team, but you're just not. You didn't pick on the playground. I'm sorry, my guy.
Yeah.
Maybe next year.
And that doesn't mean that he's not going to be on the list. It's just Zach Lowe, the person that told him that. But and you're right. Yeah, that's just the way of the game, unfortunately, with that. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? He still might end up being voted on an All-NBA team. It's just Zach Lowe who didn't put you on there. And at least you know who's one of the people that didn't have you on the list. But regardless, moving on to Shaq. We were just talking about TNT. Now we're going to move on to Shaq. This is hilarious. Vince Carter, who TNT last week, they have a new show called The Arena, which is actually the show that Britt was just talking about with Shaq, with Chuck and Draymond Green. They did a whole piece that was really cool of Vince Carter looking up at messages by tons of people that were in the league that he had experiences with and whatnot. Well, now the following week, as in yesterday, he was on the show chopping it up with everybody, but Shaquille O'Neal could care less about basketball because he was so concerned about the plants that were behind Vince Carter, and he had an opinion on what Vince Carter needs to do with those plants behind him. Check out Shaquille O'Neal, ladies and gentlemen.
Vince Carter, can you do me a favor and put some water on them dry ass flowers behind your head?
The commitment to the bit.
Dry ass flowers behind your head.
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
He's like, my flowers.
The flowers dry as hell.
I'm so happy you have a nice fresh relationship with him.
What'd you say?
D-Wade's so happy his plants look watered and fresh.
Yeah, look nice and fresh in the background. I just love Shaq's commitment to the bit. I don't know if he had a bucket there, but no, Shaq, he probably didn't. He just was so committed to making the joke. Say what?
He doesn't wear pants, so he's all right. It's just
right
on his leg.
That makes it even better. But yeah, that was great. Vince Carter, yeah. I thought it looked nice, but yeah, they did look dry as hell. So Shaq ain't wrong on that one. But that's hilarious. Now, last but not least, want to move on. This was coming from a very big Dirk Nowitzki fan who has a simple request of his favorite player of all time. He made this TikTok saying this. I'll say no more. Here's a TikTok.
Hi guys, my name's Joey, and if you know me at all, you know I'm the biggest Dirk Nowitzki fan that there is, and this video is for Dirk. Dirk means so much to Dallas and to the sport of basketball, and I'm lucky enough to have gotten his autograph, and it is my prized possession. Here's a video right after he signed my jersey, and as you can see, I am just trembling because I'm so nervous. While he was signing it, I just said thank you a million times because my brain stopped working. I was able to get his autograph at his charity event, and he signs for pretty much every single person in that stadium. And it's really hard to put into words what Dirk means to me, but I tried when he retired, so here's a note from that. But Dirk, the reason I'm making this video is because I would love to get your autograph on my arm to get it tattooed. It is a dream of mine, and I know you've done it for a few fans in the past, so this is me shooting my shot. I may not have 30K points, but I'm going to shoot anyways. Dirk, whatever I got to do, you name it, or I'll just go ahead and forge it myself. But guys, please blow this up. It would mean so much to me. Dirk, love you, man.
Well, I think it's a spoiler alert, but this wouldn't be on Post Up if it wasn't seen by Dirk Nowitzki himself. Yes, this video did get shared enough times to the point where Dirk Nowitzki saw it himself, and he responded saying, "I got you, my man, but you sure you want to do this?" Question mark, question mark, question mark. So, shout out to Joey for shooting your shot, because you are going to get that tattoo. I mean, it's cool, I guess. That's probably going to be a big moment for him because he's a huge Dirk Nowitzki fan. That's dope. I'm glad that Dirk Nowitzki responded. I don't know how they're going to do it. He made the joke saying that Dirk Nowitzki got a reach, so at least he's about 6 feet apart just from signing it. So, I mean, should be okay with that. But, yeah, cool. Cool stuff, man. But that's it for me here on Post. I'm all done.
All right, that's way too much. I don't care how much you love a person. That's too much, I think.
Too far?
Yeah, a little bit too far. I don't think I would do that for anybody. But anyway, Jackie, tell us.
Jackie, I knew it.
I was like, damn, if it worked, let me get my ass on Twitter if it worked. TikTok, here I come.
Oh my
Jackie,
God, I knew it.
You can do the pig. See if it'll work.
I knew it. I
I'm
knew
just
it.
saying. Since Britt told us the China thing, I got off TikTok, but let me get back real quick. Let me just
Here, I will like your video and I'll leave a comment. I'll share it. If you do that, I will stand behind you, Jackie. We got to see if it works.
That's hilarious.
But on that note, tell us what we not gonna do. Yeah.
Right now, what I'm not gonna do is pretend like my brain's not spinning. I'm like, ideas. Okay, so these next two, they have me a little concerned. I'm not annoyed. I'm not mad. I'm just concerned. So first up, Kevin Garnett. If you don't know who Kevin Garnett is, you need to do like Jordan told them kids to do, and you need to check YouTube because his legacy speaks for itself. But there was a hiccup. In 1998, the Timberwolves owner, Glenn Taylor, gave Kevin Garnett what was the highest and biggest contract in NBA history. 6 years, $126 million. You guys are like, what? That's peanuts now. Now it is. But back then, it was the business, and it actually broke the NBA. They ended up in the longest lockout because owners were like, hold on, we don't want this responsibility to pay people this. So the money was perfect. Not only did I think he was worth it, but he also had aspirations of gaining ownership of the Timberwolves. So the plan was for him to start buying into an investor group with the president of basketball operations at the time, which was Flip Saunders. He buy into that investor group that would help lead to part ownership of the Timberwolves. It was a great plan, but sadly, Saunders died in October of 2015 from lymphoma. And then Glenn Taylor, who was the owner, had no intentions of honoring that plan, and he just kind of moved on to other minority investors. Kevin saw it as a slap in the face, and he called Glenn Taylor a snake. He said he would never do business with him or even participate in having his jersey retired. He didn't want no parts of it. But now, Glenn Taylor, who is 79, is once again saying that he's putting the team up. Well, he wants to put the team up for sale. Kevin Garnett is singing an entirely different tune now. He went to Twitter and he said, quote, "My passion for the Minnesota Timberwolves to be a championship team is well known, but I have a deeper affection for the city of Minneapolis. I once again want to see Minneapolis as the diverse and loving community that I know it is. No two people love the city more than myself and Glenn Taylor, and I look forward to trying to work with him to achieve my dream." He looks forward to trying to work with him, even though he swore he would never, ever work with him. You guys know that I'm team keep that same energy all the time, but I think you can keep that same energy personally, but maybe change the energy on a business level because, like I said, this is his dream. Kevin Garnett's love for Minneapolis is well documented, so his tweet makes sense. And then if you don't know, George Floyd happened in Minneapolis. So this would actually, I think, be a good thing for the city. I think it would be a great thing for the Timberwolves. But here's the catch. Forbes has the Timberwolves valued at $1.3 billion. Kevin Garnett's net worth is nowhere close to that. So he's either going to be a minority owner or perhaps go with another investment group. I don't know. A lot of people are going in on Kevin Garnett because he said he would never do business with Glenn Taylor again. But like I said, it's his dream. It's an opportunity. So I think it's okay. I think it would be great to try to turn the team around. He wants to also be president of basketball operations. If he gets, this ownership, partial ownership or minority ownership, I'm concerned that they'll throw the president of operations job at him without offering him any ownership. That would make Glenn Taylor a real snake. I think Glenn Taylor needs to seize this opportunity, right this wrong that he did back in 1998, and let Kevin Garnett fulfill his dream. But Chris, how do you see this one playing out? Do you think that he'll actually get to finally become a minority owner? Do you think they'll throw the president of operations job at him and not offer him any ownership? How do you think this one's going to work?
I think throwing him the president is probably the most realistic, but I think that there's a chance. I think that there's a chance that he does get the opportunity to be a minority owner to the team and maybe possibly do both. I don't think it's going to happen, but there is a chance. I think he's going to at least get that minority ownership to the team. And as far as this, him flip-flopping, I don't count this as one because he's still going on his original statement. It's just he has to say the right things to make sure that Glenn Taylor gets the hell out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not completely against it because at the end of the day, the person that he had the problem with could possibly be out of the situation. And I think that's what is the bigger deal for Kevin Garnett. But I think there is a very big possibility that he snakes KG in this, gets him the president job, but then gives him no ownership to the team. I think there's a huge possibility that could happen for sure.
So 2 snake moves. That's terrible.
I think I wouldn't put it past him, to be completely honest.
All right. I hope he gets this minority ownership because, like I said, this has been a dream of his for a while. So I would love to see it happen. I think it would be great for that franchise, great for that city.
I hope I'm wrong.
This next one, though, I hope you're wrong, too. You can't be a snake twice. Only be a snake once in your life. That's nothing for the day, kids. So this next one is kind of reality check for me because sometimes I think, especially when it comes to the NFL, I think I care more about the players sometimes than they care about themselves. I was downright pissed off when the NFL didn't really do more for Von Miller's situation because he had asthma. He got COVID-19. His doctor sent him home. The NFL was like, we'll check on you like every other day. They basically did nothing. But he hasn't opted out. In fact, the Denver Post wrote an article about how they think he's going to turn back to his 29-year-old self and get 14.5 sacks instead of the 8 sacks he got last year. They're not even mentioning that he had coronavirus, which is crazy to me. But still, cancer is obviously worse than asthma. And Steelers running back James Conner says he also will not opt out of the 2020 season. I was super surprised to hear this. Clearly, it's just me because I went to Twitter and everyone's like just excited about this. But if you don't know, Conner was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in college, but he has been cancer-free for the last 4 years. That is a long time. I have family members who've had cancer, and I can tell you that one of those things is when you have those checkups, the first fear is like, are they going to say I've relapsed? Because you do everything you're supposed to do, but sometimes, some of that's just beyond your control. So there is that sense of fear. There is that sense of worry, but there is a part of me that says it's not worth it for him to play, but I understand what he feels as far as, I've been cool for a while. I'm going to play. And he told Adam Schefter on his podcast, he says, I'm going on 4 years now, just talking with my doctor. He said, you got nothing to worry about as far as your immune system. I'm far removed from that. My body is healed. I have no concerns with that. I'm keeping distance and doing all that. So I get it. I mean, if his doctors tell him he's fine, then I think he should believe them. I think he should, move forward. And I don't think you should stop living your life. I think the scary thing to me is we still don't know the long-term effects of what COVID has on your body. China did a study, I think it was just last month, that they said people who are hospitalized because of COVID are having neurological issues. So it affects the brain. And that's just one study in the infancy of this disease. So I guess what I'm not going to do is worry about these players more than they worry about themselves, because if he thinks he's fine, then yay, go out there and do something you love. But I would be, if I lived in this house, I'd be checking on him every day. I'm checking your temperature. You better not breathe funny one time. But Devin, what do you think about this? Do you think that this is something he should just not worry about? Or do you think he should implement more safety protocols on himself than what the NFL has, because he did have this life-threatening disease not too long ago?
I mean, I think that it would be smart for him to make sure he stays extra safe and maybe goes the extra mile, just because he did have this history of disease. He had cancer. I know that if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't want to risk it. And I know that you can probably feel confident and feel better about yourself after being cancer-free for 4 years. But I think that research has said cancer survivors are more likely to suffer from complications and need to be hospitalized if they do get coronavirus. So even if he is 4 years cancer-free, it's still a risk. And I think considering so many athletes are opting out of the season this year, it wouldn't be that crazy. It wouldn't be so terrible for him to do the same thing just to keep himself safe. But of course, it's his choice. His doctor knows best. I just know that if I was in his shoes, I think I personally would not want to subject myself to possibly getting the virus and not being able to recover fully and continue playing football for many more years.
Yeah, I'm definitely team safety first, but I'm also very passionate about the things that I love. So I can see just saying, you know what, my doctors say I'm cool, I'm going to push through. So if nothing else, I definitely wish him all the best, especially him, Von Miller, anyone who has any sort of pre-existing condition that might, hurt them in the long run. But That's all I have for what we not gonna do. Chris, are you ready? Because it is time for Brit's takes.
Brit's takes.
Ooh, that one had a little bass in it. Okay, Chris.
Right?
We got it. All right, guys. We are talking NBA bubble right now because it seems like it's been working well. Like they said earlier, there have been no positive tests as of late, which is great. But my question is, though, how long can this work? Like like Chris mentioned earlier, the NBA could consider having a bubble next year too. So the NBPA executive director, Michelle Roberts, actually said this about next season. If tomorrow looks like today, I don't know how we say we can do it differently. If tomorrow looks like today, and today we all acknowledge, and this is not Michelle talking, this is the league, together with the PA and our respective experts saying this is the way we do it, then that's have to be the way we do it. So basically saying if the country still looks like it does right now, they're going to have no other but to do a bubble again, because they're saying now that this is what we had to do in this moment. So why would they not say the same thing moving forward? So as all of you guys know, right now there's 22 teams currently in the bubble. If we do a full team bubble, it's going to be 30 teams. So 8 more teams actually means not just, the 15 players per roster. It means a total of about 300 additional people that would have to be added to the bubble, putting the bubble at 1,000 people. So obviously there's options like they were talking about earlier about maybe doing bubbles in different areas, but how much is that going to cost for all the, security and getting everything set up in each particular bubble to end up doing that instead of having one large bubble again? I know Adam Silver said recently that 40% of the league's annual revenue is actually due to live games. So now we have to take all of that into account. Before the season ended, I believe it was 59 games. You can correct me if I'm wrong. That was actually played between 59 and 60, depending on what team, where they were at in their season. But let's say roughly 60 games of the season had been played already for most teams. At that point, they received those full salaries for that, and then we know that they had a reduction in their salary for the remainder of the season that they're doing in the bubble. If you decided not to go to the bubble, then you don't get that money. We know that for the NBA, but they did get the larger portion of their salary already for this season. So losing out on whatever money or whatever playoff money that they're getting from that percentage that they did lose for the rest of the season, it doesn't really impact their pockets that much. But let's imagine now an entire season, including playoffs, done in a bubble where, like Adam Silver said, they have already lost 40% of the annual revenue. So what does that mean for players on how much their contracts are going to be? How big of a cut are the players going to have to take in order to have another whole entire season in a bubble or several bubbles? I think that this is going to be a situation where we see a lot more players opt out. Like obviously right now they have a date set for training camp. Training camp is expected to start November 10th. From that point, they don't have everything like glued down. It's kind of their year, so we don't have an exact start date for the beginning of the regular season. They have said it could be as early as the first week of December, but it could be as late as maybe we do Christmas, and they don't have an exact number on how many games they're going to do next season. Are they going to have a full 82 game season? Are they going to have a full set of playoffs? How is that going to work? They have no idea what they're doing yet. They just know a training camp day start of November 10th. We know the teams that are going to participate in the NBA Finals are going to be playing until, I believe, the second week of October. So you're telling me that, say, for instance, and even if so, like the teams that were in the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, they probably are playing until the last week of September. So you're telling me these teams that have been maybe having a 6-week break now have to go to training camp again starting November 10th. And by training camp, that means you're already suited and booted and ready to go. Like players start getting ready for training camp. You can't just go spend these 6 weeks on vacation, having fun with friends and family, and then show up on November 10th and expect to be getting in shape only during camp. No, these guys get ready 3 weeks to 4 weeks ahead of training camp. So you're telling me the guys that are in the playoffs, that are going to be in the playoffs in the Western Eastern Conference Finals and then the NBA Finals, are now going to get a 3-week break before they have to go back into a season, and then a season that they would not even potentially get even close to what their salary normally is? We're going to see a lot of players opt out. And then to that point, can we then assume that some players might retire? Because a guy named LeBron James, who I believe his birthday is December 30th, correct me if I'm wrong, Jackie, but he's going to be 36 years old. A 36-year-old guy that decides to potentially not or have that small of time to reheal their body and then go back into a bubble is not, number one, probably not going to do that, because we all know LeBron James is a family man first. And you're saying in a whole entire year span of time, this man can only be with his family for 3 weeks, and then he's going to have to go back into a bubble again and not be around his family again for like who knows how long, because this is not going to be a little 10 seeding games and then playoffs. This is going to be an entire NBA season and playoffs. We're looking at probably at least minimum 6 months, and that's if they decide to like bring the games down and do less games and stuff like that. So I don't see him leaving his family again for that long of a time. And he's so much older in his career. I would think that would lead LeBron James to probably be in early retirement, because I don't see him or some other players doing something like that for a whole entire other season, and then at a significantly smaller percentage than you're getting paid right now. I don't think this bubble idea is going to work. I don't think it's sustainable. I think it's something that worked right now because the NBA season was 75% done at the time that they had to now do this bubble. But I don't think if they try to do a beginning to end season along with the playoff, that you are going to have even a quarter of the players that are star players that are in the bubble right now come back for a bubble next season. I just don't believe it. Jackie, my question's going to go to you here. Do you see LeBron leaving his family again and doing another bubble? Or do you think that this could be a moment, if something like this happens, he could retire early?
That's a good question. I think from what we know about LeBron, you're right. He's definitely a family man. One of the reasons he moved to LA was so he continued to build his legacy outside of basketball and to prepare for life after basketball. And he's made amazing strides in that, to the point where he almost doesn't need to even take this risk. So it wouldn't be a financial thing at all for him. If he decided to stay, it wouldn't be because he needs the money, because he doesn't at this point. It would be because he's chasing a ring. He wants another ring. So then it becomes, what does that look like under these circumstances? Would they give him special consideration and now his family can just stay with him? And then if they give him that, are they going to give that to other people as well? So I think that's a big question. I think that's a great question, because I think what I personally know and understand about LeBron, the answer is no. He's already kind of solidified his legacy. He's already definitely solidified his financial future. So the answer is no. But again, if special accommodations would be made, then it would be a maybe. But then also, right, who are you making these accommodations for? I think that's a great question. And like I said earlier, I'm praying that the bubble doesn't become a thing, because I can't see it making logistic sense. As you pointed out, I can't see it making financial sense. So, and then if you start losing star players, then it doesn't make TV sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just doesn't make sense all the way around. So I think that's a great question. I'm really hoping that it's one that we don't have to answer. I would rather do games without fans in the stadiums than to do another bubble situation where retirement conversations, especially since we've talked about, we knew that LeBron was probably going to not even be as good as he is now, because he wanted to stay in the league as long as he can so he could play with Bronny. And if you do this bubble situation, that ends that too. So no, I don't like any parts of this bubble conversation at all.
Right. So basically the bubble as is, you would not see LeBron coming back into this situation. But if maybe they did do the smaller bubbles, families would be allowed inside the bubble, but then you're taking Bronny out of school, and there's just so many things with it. It's just, it is really crazy. And I'm hoping we don't have to get to that point where we even see a bubble for the 2020-2021 season at all.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because then it's also going to become like, if he makes a decision for the family, people are going to say, oh, he didn't have what it takes. If he makes a decision to keep playing, people are going to be like, oh, his family isn't as important as we thought. Like, there's no win in this for him at all. So I'm hoping that it never comes to that.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have to make that decision. Well, thank you for that. Before I get out of here, you guys, I have a story to share. The Fumble Squad is working to raise money for the Equal Justice Initiative, an incredible nonprofit organization that provides legal representation to prisoners who have been wrongfully convicted of crimes, poor prisoners without effective representation, and others who may have been denied a fair trial. I see we are less than $1,000 away from hitting our goal. Thank you guys all who have donated. A guy like LeVon Brooks actually would benefit tremendously from those kind of donations. He served 16 years in Mississippi prisons for a 1990 rape and murder of, unfortunately, a 3-year-old girl. He did not commit that crime, though. In 2008, DNA testing cleared another man, Kennedy Brewer, who had been sentenced to death for a nearly identical murder that happened in the same town less than 2 years after the crime in which Brooks was convicted for. The DNA results implicated the perpetrator of that crime, and that perpetrator actually ended up confessing to committing both of those murders, which ended up clearing Brooks. So it was a whole different trial, a whole different situation that ended up getting this guy exonerated for this crime that he did not commit. Based on the exculpatory DNA testing results, Brown was actually cleared of all charges on March 13th. It's actually 2008. He passed away in January of 2018 from cancer at the age of 58. So at least he got to spend his final 10 years as a free man. He had to lose 16 years of his life for a crime that he didn't commit. If you guys want to be a part of the movement, there is a donation link below where you can send donations to fund. We also do super chats. All the money from super chats goes directly to the Equal Justice. If you want to learn more about a case like this or any others, or what the Equal Justice Initiative actually does, you can go visit their website, eji.org. Thank you guys so much for all. There are so many people that are in prison right now for crimes they didn't commit, and any can do money to help pay for DNA tests or representation for them is well thanked. Thank you guys so much for all of it.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, Devin.
You're muted, Devin.
Am I unmuted?
There you are.
It's not me. It's not me.
Oh,
Leo, someone else do it.
All
right, guys.
We
can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was not me. I didn't mute myself. So just want to put that out there. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Britt. If anyone has any extra dollars, I saw we had I think a $20 donation from Donnie. Thank you so much for that. It goes to such a great cause. And of course, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget that Jackie and Chris are going live at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow to give you all the information that you need to know about the NBA restart. And then we have Best of the Bubble on Friday. And that's all, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Yes. It's back.
That's worth the dance out. Cue the music, Leo. We're dancing out.
Watch that. Game 2 today. It's been good stuff.
We're not watching the Dodgers. Oh, yeah. That's hilarious.